To mat number 3. Let's go down to mat number 3 and watch the reigning world champions, Georgia, taking on Japan. We've read the team sheet already, and it's Amiran Papinashvili of Georgia to face Ebinuma Masashi of Japan. And here's David McFall.
By the way, on mat number 2, Brazil has just defeated Cuba. That was a tight one. That was 3-2.
Right, David's going to keep an eye on Georgia, Japan, and I'll fill you in on what's happening with Russia and Germany.
Ebinuma going big. I figure if Japan is going to have a chance against the Georgians, Ebinuma's got to win. Shichinohe is probably going to have to win. Nagase, I would concede to Tchrikishvili. And then either Nishiyama or Ono have to win. But Ebinuma is a must. He looks confident as he gets assessed with a penalty. Ebinuma is getting busy. Ebinuma sporting that world champion back patch, which he'll get to keep, and almost gets turned over there, Papinashvili. Ebinuma now riding him a little bit, but he is going to choose to walk off rather than engage in newaza.
Speaking of penalties, down on mat number 1, both Kabachirov and Maresh have both been penalized once, but there's no score down
looking
in
at
there.
Kaishiwaza there. Pardon me for stepping on you there, Sheldon. Papinashvili looking at his own opportunity at newaza. The referee calls mate. And it looks like we are going to have another call, penalty. Anyway, Kosei looking on. No call, 1:40 left. Japanese down just by the penalty. Ebinuma gets a waza-ari there. Not sure if the leg was over for Haigoshi, but also has a good look right now. He started out with Tate Shiho and then moves into Yoko Shiho. And that's it. Ebinuma has come through for the Japanese in this first round. So a must win for the Japanese. He takes out Papinashvili. If Ono can get into gear, the Japanese have a real shot at an upset.
whilst this has been happening down on mat number 1, it's possible that Sven Maresh is going to be given Hansokamake for a leg grab. I'll let you know about that in a second.
That's a real shame. Nice transition from Tate Shiho to Yoko Shiho. And Papinashvili concedes, taps out. That tight Osai Komi by Ebinuma. So now it comes down to, we can now say the former world champion, Ono Shohei. See if he can redeem himself after that loss earlier today. Earn his pick because Nakia Riki won his fight when he was chosen.
Maresh was indeed given Hansokamake for a leg grab.
Both of them working at the edge of the mat. Ono Shohei almost gets caught there. And it looked for a second on a choke. He's able to roll out. Tchrikishvili coming up, as well as Liparteliani, really is crucial the Japanese win at least this match. I just don't give Nagase a shot. If they can get ahead here, they're really in good shape. Ono's got to come through for them. Seeing more attacks by the Georgian. Ono's got to be careful here. Apparently, the referee saw it the other way. So Tatalashvili picks up the first penalty. Ono choosing not to engage in the ground.
Mark Odenthal of Germany is on the mat against Kirill Denisov of Russia in the other semi-final. And that cheer that you heard was Odenthal being thrown for Wazari, so that's the lead at the moment. The Germans trail in that match 2-1, so this is a must-win contest for Odenthal down on mat number 1. Here's David McFall again.
Ono had some looks of turning in now. They're just exchanging. Some little ashiwaza. I think both of them look to be setting up some kind of koshiwaza. This match is halfway over. More than halfway over. Still just the one penalty to the Georgian. I'd like to see some more attacks from Ono. Ono still seems content to leave this one up to what happens on their feet. not even interested in doing any newas at this point. Perhaps as the clock winds down, that might change.
Minute and a half left down on mat number 1. Still Wazari lead for Russia.
Ono goes in for Uchimata. Had a good look there. Tatalashvili did good to escape. Just kind of rolled through, pulled the arm through his legs. Kose shouts some encouragement. There's a taping issue with Ono. Maybe the way that arm went through the legs of Tatalashvili. Something could have get caught up. Ono, when he really pops trigger, he has some explosive judo. We haven't really seen it either in the individuals or in the teams so far today. He's got to be careful. He's got 47 seconds. He can't play the defensive game. He's got to stay on the attack. Tatalashvili keeps trying to drive that leg over. Ono looks for Uchimata. Couldn't turn the shoulders. Got the leg in. The Georgian just crashes to his face in the tatami. A look. Now with less than half a minute left in the match, 21 seconds. Tatalashvili down by the 1 penalty. Japanese fans sitting nervously on their seats.
Well, the cheer that you can hear is from mat number 1 as Russia, in the shape of Kirill Denisov, overcome Mark Ordenthal. Single score of Wazari there. And the Russians win it. They're now 3-1. They lead the match 3-1, and they'll end up winners. David McFall.
A furious series of attacks, exchanges between Tatalashvili and Ono. And Ono prevails by that 1 penalty. And we saw Inoue Kose pat Nagase on the head. Nagase would have to come up huge there, but he could clinch this for the Japanese if he was to upset Tchrikishvili.
Right, well, that's the state of things then. The Japanese with a second win, lead the match 2-0. With 3 to come. Down on mat number 1 in the other semi-final, the Germans trail 3-1, so Russia assured now of a place in the final.
The winner of the final of the other semi-final on mat 3 in blue points, that was Ono Shohei.
So, Ono Shohei does his job.
Well, what it does is it makes it a must-win for all 3 remaining Georgians. Tchrikishvili, Liparteliani and Okruashvili.
And takes a lot of pressure actually off Nagase, so he can kind of loosen up and try to take Tchrikishvili to the task. I would just go for it if I was Nagase. There's a good chance that either Nishiyama or Shichinohe can come up with a win. The one thing about Nagase, he's got some very tricky hands, some quick, tricky hands. Little subtle things, ukiyotoshi and things like that. He's able to work well on counters. But he can't let Tchrikishvili get that belt grip. Nagase seems to be looser than he looked in the individuals. I think he senses that they can afford to lose this one and still have a good shot.
Which is the truth.
And that perhaps is what Inoue Kosei was kind of whispering in his ear just as he came out. He grabbed him, patted him on the head, and said something.
Go for it.
Yep, go for it. Give yourself a chance.
Tchrikishvili momentarily under threat there from Nagase, but in the end able to turn onto his front and avoid getting caught.
He never seems to sweat. He perspires perhaps, but these kind of situations, he never really looks like he's in trouble. Cool and confident. Nagase had a look there at Haragoshi. You think Nagase might want to keep Tchrikishvili on the tatami. No scores yet, no penalties.
It's actually quite a nerve-wracking time because the Georgians 2-0 down. They're really staring down the barrel now.
Well, they would be absolutely shocked if Tchrikishvili was to lose.
No.
That's not going to be it. He's on his knees. You cannot throw your opponent for your knees. Now we're at the 1 minute mark. Nagase didn't quite get that one around.
So it's getting away from Tchrikishvili.
Had the leg in there, just didn't get the arm pull.
Desperate to get a score, the Georgian.
Nagase cannot allow that belt to be held there.
Couldn't drop the hips. Oh, and almost the Yoko Shitemiwaza from Tchrikishvili.
Good effort by Nagase to make sure he landed on his front. Well, now we're down to 30 seconds or so. It's that belt grip he's got to watch out for, Nagase. That's Tchrikishvili's best. And he gets it again. and looks at Makikomi for a second. Nagase is going to attack. Tchrikishvili looks a little gassed.
He certainly does. This is the last effort from Tchrikishvili.
Both go down in their front.
As David was saying, there's just nothing left. It's not happening. Georgia are losing their world title. Tchrikishvili just didn't have it in him at the end. David said that he was gassed, but it's just not going to happen for them. Nagase is still on his feet. He's got strength. Tchrikishvili can hardly stand, and this is it'll go into golden score, but there's just nothing left in him.
Well, the old mark of a champion. See if he can dig deep. He has to. Just kind of casually throws his legs over and turns in. And that looks like a false attack. What do you think, Sheldon? It looked like he just collapsed. He turned in and just collapsed to his knee.
He got the benefit of the doubt there, didn't he? He won't get it again. There's just nothing left in him.
Nagase. Yuko?
Well, it's got to be at least a Yuko.
Quick head nod from it. Inoue Kosei. I'm wondering even if Inoue Kosei just, a war of attrition, just wear him out. We could have a chance. And so the 81-kilogram world champion loses to Nagase, clinching the match for the Japanese. First three, all wins. Wouldn't have called that one for Nagase.
Well, every coach who makes a selection has to know his team. He has to know what they're capable of doing. And if you get asked a question about what's required of your team member, one of them is going to be staying power, your ability to be there and at the end, and
their conditioning.
He didn't have it. And there's a good reason for that. He just spent the day before yesterday winning the world title. Perhaps this was one where you needed Zabeda Rekviashvili, who hadn't fought and was fresh. It's so easy to second guess because we've just seen that. If Tchrikishvili had come out and slammed him, you'd have said, luckily they didn't pick Zabeda because he hasn't got that kind of skill. But you could turn it around and say, well, he has.
The bottom line is we all knew with 30 seconds left in regular time that Tchrikishvili was just totally gassed, and there was nothing there.
He didn't have anything left.
Even in golden score, when it came to gripping, it just didn't look like he was gripping hard. He didn't even attempt to come over the top for the belt, and that was probably his best shot during the regular time.
And now a contest that would normally grip you on the edge of your seat. Nishiyama Daiki and Varlam Liparteliani is of no real consequence here, because you can see from the scoreboard, 3-0 Japan. The worst possible thing that could happen here is for Liparteliani and Okruashvili to lose, and the Georgians go away with a 5-0 drubbing.
That would really hurt the ego there. Well, we'll see if, even though this is of no consequence, see how Nishiyama does, see whether him or Baker would have been the better pick. It's hard to tell because there's no pressure on the match. But as you said, the Georgians at this point are just fighting for pride.
I can't remember the last time I saw the Georgian team lose.
You know, they were really light and carefree in the flight from Moscow to here. I have a feeling it's going to be a much more somber flight on the way home.
I hope I'm not sharing the flight with them. Yeah, an unhappy bunch going back.
Liparteliani here, working a little bit on the ground.
Tchrikishvili just didn't have anything more to offer. You know, it was the minute before the end of the contest. There just wasn't anything there.
I think you were on the ball as far as this idea that maybe he still was feeling the effects of 2 days ago. And he didn't have the sharpness that we saw.
I mean, he looked physically bruised as well, didn't he?
In the first round, he had a good ippon, as I remember. But, you know, the day takes its toll. Two penalties in Nishiyama right now.
And there's still a minute and a half left to go.
Some other one might as well just go for it. There's no consequence to this, so give the Georgian a real match. You know, it's quite remarkable. I mean, people really love to see the dynamic judo that the Georgians have. And it's a shame that it would appear that the two things they're lacking is one is conditioning, and number two is newaza.
Well, under normal circumstances, I mean, in the individuals, the conditioning for the Georgian fighters is really good. But we're looking at, it's a long week. He would have been on with Tatalashvili for the warm-up and Tatalashvili helping them to warm up because he's the right kind of weight. He may have been on with Liparteliani and, well, I doubt whether he would have been with Liparteliani and Papinashvili the day after he'd won the World Championships, but he could have been.
Okay.
And then he would have had 1 day's rest and then back on the mat. Probably been a little bit too much for him. Liparteliani committed just the one. No, he didn't. It was 2 errors to Nishiyama. So Japanese losing out there. 3-1 now.
The last three, winner of the point for Georgian, Varlam Liparteliani. The score in the semi-final is 3-1 for Japan.
So we've just got the one remaining contest. And that's Adam Okruashvili. And he faces Shichinohe Ryu. Nope,
Nope.
that was over. fairly swiftly, wasn't it? Nadzi completely.
I don't think his heart was into
Yeah.
it. He just wanted to get at. They would just want to get off the tatami and regroup.
He almost looked as though he jumped.
That's what I jumped and that looked very sumo-ish.
Yeah.
The speed in which one just throwing himself out and the other one, because basically Shichinohe didn't even have to grab the judogi, so it could have been sumo-like.
It's a little bit quick for me to see it there. Right, Shichinohe over Okruashvili.
Which makes it 4-1.
4-1.
But the last one,
That's a fairly comprehensive win for the Japanese, not just on paper, but the way that it turned out there. The real crunch contest was the one that took it away from the Georgians, out of the hands of Liparteliani and Okruashvili. And on so many occasions, Liparteliani has been the one to bring it back and then put it in the hands of Okruashvili. He finishes it off. Or they've already got to that stage where Liparteliani is the man to finish off, and he does. It was all done and dusted by the time it got to the team captain, Liparteliani, and there was now to be done about it. Japan then defeating the world champions, the reigning world champions, Georgia. And it's the Japanese who will go into the final, where they'll face Russia. Sorry, you're going to say?
I think the absolute key of the Japanese was Ono's win. Ebinuma we thought was going to win. Nagase we really didn't think had a chance, but Ono probably gave them the impetus for Inoue Kosei to tell Nagase, go for it. And there you go.
All right, well, the